Back to the walls, you say. Back to the beginning.
This is the Artistry Hub coming at you with another episode of the Hub Beat. This is your host Nico, and we got a special guest in, Joseph Naghwai. Nice to meet you, my man. Glad to have you on. Ooh, we gonna, do the usual, man. He's gonna give us a little background on himself. So, man, tell us where you from, man.
Grew up, born and raised in Dallas, and been here ever since.
Yeah, not a lot of people leave, especially around this urban area, man. You live here, you stay here, man. So, tell us a little bit about your music. How'd you start up playing the guitar and everything?
My first introduction to music and that kind of singing music, everything was I was 13, I remember. And I went to the store and I bought a John Mayer album, and it was Continuum.
Okay.
And, man, it just spoke to me. And then from there on out, I was just, like, I went probably a month later after that and bought my acoustic guitar and just begged my parents to get me a guitar, And they're like, why do you want a guitar? I'm like, I just want a guitar.
Just get it for me, man.
I picked it up, like, whenever I was 9, but I never really picked it up, When you're 9, you have the attention span of, like, a squirrel, so you're sitting there just, you can't focus on nothing. I got home and started teaching myself how to read tablature, and then from there on just started slowly singing.
Yeah.
Still working on it, but it was really rough when I first started out because I was playing guitar for maybe 2 or 3 years before I first started singing, and I was just writing songs just to write them, and I found out I didn't have anybody to sing my songs.
It's interesting you say that because just recently we had Mr. Lightfoot in here and Paul Adrian, and we were talking about a similar thing to where you started playing guitar but couldn't really sing, and that's kind of like how John Mayer started. It's interesting that y'all kind of got the same influence. Yeah,
me and Thomas Lightfoot have a lot of that backing behind John Mayer. It's really funny, man. I don't think we've ever talked about it, but I've gone across his a few of his pages, and I'm like, John Mayer. I see it, you know what I'm saying? And then the way he sings and everything. But yeah,
isn't a bad person to pull from. Man's a badass on the guitar, and his singing is, is risen to match, his guitar talents now. So I know you just released your album, Old Habits, in April. So it hadn't been out too long. Y'all hadn't missed out on anything. Talk to us a little bit about that. What influenced that? Because it sounds to me it has a folk feel to it. On the topic of John Mayer, it kind of reminded me of Born and Raised. I don't know if you ever heard that album. Yeah. That kind of folk feel to it. Talk to us about that.
One of my really big inspirations, why I picked up the guitar, was John Mayer. I branched out and went into this kind of weird, and Of Monsters and Men and stuff like that was big, maybe a couple years back. And that's whenever I really first started singing. And I got in this band called City and Color.
Okay. And
it's this artist named Dallas Green, and he does a lot of work that's it has a dark vibe to it, but it's still heavy with that kind of rock backing to it. So I feel like for this last album, for Old Habits, that's really where I picked that up from, and going forward, I really can't wait to see what I can evolve that into.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a John Mayer knockoff album, like a lot of people put out.
Not at all.
This was more of I'm just kind of getting my footing right, And this EP was really a good way to say that, hey, this is what I have to offer.
Yeah. And
there's more coming. So
that's great. Are you working on something right now? Is there something in the works, or are you just kind of letting this sit for a minute since you just finished it?
It's really weird. I actually I got in contact with y'all with my side project I started up, and I dropped it, man, because I started for about a month, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this R&B thing, and it's real dark, trip hop type sounds to it. And I was really onto that for a minute, and it's just because I kind of lost interest in what I was doing because I didn't feel like it was good enough. And then one day I had this realization where I was just like, I have an album out. I'd seeded months into this, I might as well just keep it going and just push on with it. But I'm definitely letting it sit for a while. I'm probably not going to even talk about recording another album for another couple of months, but me and my producer already talked about it, and it's planned.
Oh yeah, that's great, man. That's great. Are you trying to branch off and kind of do another genre style with it instead of like a folk influence, or is that kind of like your bread and butter?
So my thing is, right, like, me and my producer are always talking, and I'm like, man, I feel like this sounds like this. Mm-hmm. And he's always the one to go, I don't think so. It's still you. And I'm like, no, but it sounds different. Like, do you hear the difference? He's like, no, it still sounds like you, Like, it's a different song, than you've written, but it's just a different song. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So I feel like even though I might feel this next album's going to be a lot different, I feel like it's going to be similar, just more of me, and as different as I'd like to say it is, it's probably going to be within that same genre, that same kind of that bread and butter that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Ain't nothing wrong with that as long as you're putting out bangers, Yeah. So one of my favorite tracks on there was "Fall Away." That was probably
really
Is that really well received? Or?
"Fall Away" for me on this album, it wasn't going to be on the album. Mm-hmm. So what happened was I went down to San Marcos whenever I first started getting serious after high school. I graduated in 2015, so this whole first year was my first year in the scene, like deep in the scene. And me and my drummer Matt were like, hey, we're going to go to San Marcos because I've been connecting with this producer there. So we headed down there in late October, and we got there, we recorded it. And he's like, all right, cool. Like, it was like a last minute recording. Like, I was like, dude, I got to get back to Garland, ASAP. And so let's hit vocals real quick before I leave. Mm-hmm. We hit vocals real quick, and then 5 minutes later I was out the door, headed back to Garland. And he got it back to me, and not to badmouth him, I mean, he was really working with like nothing because, he didn't have any backing or any kind of sound to base it off of. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't like it, Yeah, I got it back, and I sat on it, I'm like, man, such a bad song. And then I started talking to my new producer that I was working with that produced the Old Habits album, and he's like, I don't think it's a bad song. I think I'm gonna do you right on it.
Yeah.
So he did me right on it, and it ended up on the album. The funny story about that song is it's actually one of the first songs I wrote that I kept. I started keeping a one subject spiral notebook whenever I first started writing, whenever I picked up a guitar, and I wrote from front page all the way to back. And that final page was ripped out, and that's what "Fall Away" was. That final page, the only one I kept.
What? That's crazy. It's funny to hear this, being that it was my favorite song off the whole album. That it was just like almost this throwaway song that he never even made it, But that's tight though. To me, it was a gem on there. I liked it because, you came in with that original style that you hear, kind of guide you throughout the whole album, and then it has that switch up on the beat at the end. I don't know, I really like that.
You really liked it?
Yeah, I really like that. That was probably my favorite part about it. But as far as the whole general feel in your style, man, I really think you'll probably appreciate that time you'll have away from it. The simmer and what you just did, and you're able to create and mold yourself from there. It's always a creative process. A whole growth process when you're an artist. You never, well, you shouldn't, I can't say you never, but you shouldn't stay in the same place throughout the creation of whatever it is you do, whether it's, you drum or you play guitar, sing, whatever. You start somewhere, and you should always be bettering yourself, critiquing your craft and the previous projects you just put out.
And the big thing I've realized is, like, with albums and with album writing, but songwriting, period. A song I wrote 2 months back is completely different than a song I wrote, the other night or, a couple weeks ago. And it's crazy because you just kind of have to live a lot, to write. Like, albums really have a lot to do with just living and giving them that space that they need.
So you pull from a lot from your life experiences before you go in. So just like I said, that time is going to do you some good, man. So anything can happen in between then,
It's true, man. You gotta keep working and pushing.
Oh yeah. You talk to us about your process in the studio. Do you like to? I know some people like to flowers on me. do you like to play your backing track and then go and sing, or do you play and sing at the same time?
So for like demos I record, I keep it really simple. I've recorded a few demos. I took them down because it doesn't look that professional going on, a SoundCloud with just demos. But with demos, I was recording and recording guitar and singing 2 different mics at the same time. In the studio, I always track differently. That way, I can stay as on tempo as possible. So usually start with just guitar, just laying it down on acoustic, and then going in with drums and kind of figuring out where that's going to go, and then going in with electric guitar, and then usually singing is the last part to go on there. Just because you want to make sure that all your instrumentals are completely filled. You just fill the sound, and then I mean, there's tons of work to do after that. You think you got a filled sound, and you go back and you're like, well, this could be better.
It's always like that. Something can always be tweaked.
Yeah, always, man.
Yeah, but as far as recording like that, I think it has its benefits, because I know some people like to go in and they like the performance aspect of playing at the same time and then laying their vocals at the same time. It's just a completely different feel than playing, your track and then going and sitting there like, okay, now I'm singing. I'm not, stroking my baby right now.
It's really weird because, like being behind a guitar for me is it's like a comfort kind of, comfort creature kind of thing. It's like I'm behind this, and being that I started playing that first before I started singing, it's like it's a really big backing for me. So whenever I'm on stage performing at like an open mic or my own show, it's like I have that behind me or in front of me. I'm behind it, and so with singing, you're just a little bit more confident. I know whenever I got in the studio to do vocals, last thing, we had a really hard time with it. I think a big part of it was my vocals weren't developed as a vocalist. They were developed as, a guitarist. And so I didn't have the same kind of mannerisms when singing. I didn't have the same kind of syncopation, for lack of a better term, when singing. So it was kind of difficult, but we stuck through it and got through it. So
That's great, man. That's great. Hey, however, you got to make it work.
Exactly.
Do you have any performances or anything coming up soon? You got any show dates or anything we should look out for?
I'm playing. I'm trying to make it like a weekly thing, but I'm playing at the Drugstore Cowboy in Deep Ellum every Tuesday night for open mic. There's this new place here in Irving actually. It's called Supreme Coffee.
Okay.
They do open mic nights every once in a while. I'm going this next Friday.
Sweet.
But other than that, man, I have a show on July 28th at the Gas Monkey Live it's for a company called Raw Artists, and what they do for artists is they basically, as long as you can get your tickets sold, get everything taken care of that they need you to take care of on their end, they'll put you up in a different state, in a different city, free of ticket obligation, just to go out there. And it's really a whole experience, because you have 800 to 1,200 people at those showcases, so you never know who you're going to meet. But other than that, man,
that's crazy.
Just a few coffee shops here and there.
Hey, gotta build up. That's where you usually start, man. A little hole in the walls, average listener coming out to check it out just during their day, roaming around or whatever, So everybody starts, ground zero at one point. That's great to hear, though. Now, I know you brought your guitar with you, so you want to play us a little tunage?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, maybe something off of your album or something you're working on in the background, whatever you want to do, man. Go ahead and give us a little drop.
All right. I wrote this one the other night.
Okay.
It's one of those tracks that I feel like is going to be a filler track. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't feel like it's going to be single material, Me and my producer were talking about it the other night. But it's called, right now, 3 Bottles Down. So.
Okay.
I'm seeing ghosts, you're screaming my name. Don't do this, you've got too much to live for. But what you don't get is there's no closing this door. 'Cause the war's not worth the fight in the end. If I don't have you, if I don't have you to win. I can't sleep, 'cause I'm always stuck dreaming of the night and wails that woke these demons. Don't do this, you've got too much to live for. But what you don't get is there's no closing this door. 'Cause the war's not worth the fight in the end. If I don't have you, if I don't have you to win. 'Cause the war's not worth the fight in the end. If I don't have you, if I don't have you to win. Three bottles down, I'm not who I used to be.
Bravo, 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 man. I'm digging that. I don't know what your producer's talking about, but that could be a fire track. Maybe I just love music, man. If it feels good, you know, I like to jam, you know. I mean, you getting into politics at that point of music, you know, if it's a hit or not, you know. But hey, if it feels good, I love to jam it, man. That was great stuff, my man.
Thanks, man.
Before we wrap up, we like to, as the Artistry Hub, we look towards building up people's crafts in a greater community abroad. You know, with whatever music talent you have, we look to help you elevate that. So as an up-and-coming artist, do you have any tips and tricks or any tools of the trade or anything that you've experienced that you would like to expound on to help out fellow artists?
I think the big thing is just knowing that perseverance in the end is what's going to drive you home, and just knowing it in the back of your mind, no matter what you're doing, whether it's writing, whether it's recording, whether it's playing shows, whether it's just trying to get your stuff out there, is that at the end of the day, I mean, of course your fans are going to support you, but you know, everyone starts out, like we were talking about, ground zero, you know, level ground. Everyone starts out at level ground when they start. The biggest thing is just knowing that no matter who's there for you, you got to know that you're there for you, and you just got to keep pushing on like that. And that's really the only way that's going to drive you through those hard nights. It's the only way that's going to drive you through, you know, the not so ecstatic crowd. That's what's going to drive you through, you know, the struggles of recording and trying to get everything right and being frustrated at the end of the day. You know, coming out of a recording session, there's nothing worse than feeling like you don't have something that you know is within your grasp. And I mean, regardless of what you're doing, if you work hard enough at it and you work long enough at it, it's in your grasp. So.
Oh yeah, man. Great input on that, man. Y'all take that to heart. That was really dope knowledge he put down on you, man. But for sure, nobody's gonna support you but you. At the end of the day, all you got is yourself, man. So keep pushing, keep pounding, keep striving to get better at your craft, man. It's only gonna go as far as you take it yourself. So this is the end of the episode. We coming in. I'm glad you came in, Joseph. Great to have you in.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. We'll definitely follow you. Keep up with your music. Any further releases or performances. As usual, we're going to link all of his social media and Bandcamp where you can find his music, or anywhere else you can find his music. It's definitely on Bandcamp, the album Old Habits. So go and check it out. Support your local artists, throw something on it and download your tracks. All right, this is your boy Neek, the Artistry Hub, the Hub Beat, and we out.
And these next words could make or break us. Giving up sometimes just ain't enough. The ones that let go are the ones you never had at all.